What's up, everybody? Welcome to the TogetherMess Big Brother After Show. We're down to our final 2 episodes, and we're down to our final 3 contestants. Very exciting, or not so much.
I don't think it's that exciting. Before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and say, if my youngest comes down here and interrupts this live, I apologize. I have a very gripey 7-year-old right now that is upstairs, and I was trying to get them to bed before we started this live. I know it's a little late for some people, but going back to Big Brother, because that's why you all are here. No, not really that exciting. This time, when you have people you're not rooting for and you get down to the final 4, it is a little boring.
Well, listen, it was a great season. There's one more episode left. The winner will be crowned. And I'm a little distracted because there's something outside, and I don't know if it's fireworks or an animal or our son's on the roof. Something's going on out there. So I don't know. So speaking of the final 3, it's me, Jordan, and her friend over here.
Oh, don't even start. I can't help it. It's like, what is it called? Cystic acne? When you get
So it's down to the final 3 and the final 3 of us. So who's gonna last? Who's gonna last longer?
I'm about to get up and Jeff can do this live by himself because I'm fed up with my family tonight. And I feel delirious, and I'm mad that I can't have a margarita because I said I wouldn't drink till my birthday.
Yeah, listen, thank you guys for joining us late night. It has been a long night for us as well. And listen, we're down to the final 3. Like I said, I think we're a little bit disappointed. Our household was cheering for Keanu. I would have loved to see what happened. There he is, our man. I would have loved to see what happened if he did make it to the final 3. What would have happened in the final 2? What's the jury thinking?
I don't know why people couldn't just stay loyal to him. He could never find anybody that wanted to be loyal to him. I do think he could have won that HOH with Vinny. He just wasn't concentrating, and he thought Vinny was his boy because during that double eviction, Vinny did not get rid of him. He saved him. And then he was like, okay, he is with me. So I don't felt like he didn't need to win the HOH because if Vinny won, he wouldn't put him on the block. Those are little things that I'm like, when you get that far down on Big Brother, you have to win. Like, you can't just assume that everybody's with you.
Yeah, no, I know. When he watches it back, he's going to kick himself. But I think he's a good-hearted guy. He took it like a champ. I wish he would have tried a little harder in that last HOH with Vince. I think he thought he was safe. And, listen, when you're in the house and then you get knocked out, you go over a million scenarios in your head. Why? What if? I could have done this. If that would have happened, this would have happened. And things just play out the way they play out. So it's played out the way it is. I got to be honest with you. I think I don't see any other scenario other than Morgan winning, to be honest with you.
Think so.
I don't know how the jury's thinking, but Vinny backstabbed so many people. And I believe that the jury, the way Morgan performed at the end, and she was one of my girl picked to win from the beginning of the season, totally random. So that's nice for me. But I think things are just going to, I wish something would have happened where it would have shook it up a little bit. I don't see a scenario where Morgan doesn't win.
I think Morgan deserves to win. She's won. She's got herself there. She won the vetoes.
For sure.
They could have got her out, and she did a fabulous job, and she deserves the money out of everyone left. I agree with you. Vinny has made I think it's going to be a bitter mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
Made a mess of his.
I don't think he wins against either one. I still think if
you think of it somehow, if Ashley wins both of those and knocks Morgan out and takes Vinny, do you think Vinny wins against Ashley?
Well, it depends. Ashley has a lot of friends in jury.
She does.
And I think it's there could be, when I was on Big Brother 11, you helped me in the jury. You were telling people why I should win.
I sure did.
Rachel was super close with Ashley, and I think Rachel would have her back. I know Rachel respects the game and gameplay, social gameplay, and I think she could rally people to vote for Ashley. So we don't know until we see that round table, or what is it called whenever somebody comes and interviews all the jury roundtable.
Yeah.
We won't know until you can kind of tell everybody's reaction, everybody's vibe towards certain people. I really don't think, I might be wrong, I just don't see Vinny getting any votes from anyone because he just screwed everyone over and they're probably mad.
Yeah. So get those questions in. We're going to take your questions. But before we do, while you guys are doing that, I do feel like Rachel has a grip on the jury.
Yes.
This is totally just, I do feel like people look up to Rachel. I feel like she respects the game, and she was super tight with Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
So if it did come down to a scenario where it was Vince and Ashley, I still think Ashley wins. I don't know if Vinny has a chance to win.
I don't think Vinny wins against anyone. Like I said,
I don't know.
Morgan and Ashley, it would be Morgan.
I think so.
And
I definitely think so.
But if I was Morgan, just to be on the safe side, I would take Ashley with me.
But if you were Vince and you had to choose,
if I was Vince, I would take Ashley. But
will he? He did so much backstabbing.
Yeah.
He's got a girlfriend. Those are in quotes if you're just listening to the podcast and not video. He's got a girlfriend outside the house. He came for the money. His best shot is to go against Ashley. I don't think he knows that he's going to lose against Morgan. I don't think that's in his head.
Well, I think after day 70, you don't even know what's going on.
You're so confused.
You're so confused about everything, even the outside world. And to be honest, when you get down to 3 people, it is so boring. There is so much downtime. And if Vinny and Morgan are just hanging out up in the room together and Ashley's just by herself, that's kind of how it was with Kevin and Natalie, and I was off by myself. You have so much time to think and go through scenarios. It's kind of good advantage if they are excluding her, but I don't know if they are. I know she is close with Morgan because they had that alliance.
Right. But I do like the way, listen, she was kind of floating in the middle there, kind of I don't know. I didn't like her game in the middle. Towards the end, I don't feel like she's breaking. She's got the right ideas in her head. Mm-hmm. The cards just didn't fall out the way where she could have made a big move. I think she would have if she had the chance. That's just from the scenes that I watch. Again, we don't watch the live feeds, but I feel like if she had a chance, she might have taken a shot, at least took Vinny out or something.
I do like seeing more of her where before you would only hear little bits and pieces, like little sound bites from her. Now because it's less people, they're showing more of her personality. Yeah. Because again, I know people will always rate me and say, well, you're not watching live feeds. I don't have time to watch the live feeds. 3 days is already a lot. A commitment. Live feeds, too much.
Yeah, going back to that veto, or was it the veto with Keanu, one? Right? So when Keanu and Ava were on the block.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
It would have been very interesting to see if Ashley won that veto. And I was thinking this scenario, and then they did air it, and she was talking to Ava. Like, if I win, I could take you down, and then we put Vinny up against Keanu, and we own those votes, and we could take Vinny
That's
out.
what we were hoping happened. We were like, Ashley, win that
I'm
veto.
like, that's got to be going through her head, because you have nothing to do, especially when you're down to the final 5 at that point. Everything is racing through your mind, and it did go, and there they are. Oh, look at our crew. Ian's the man. It did go through her mind. So that would have been interesting to see if Ashley won that, if the trigger would have been pulled to do that. That would have been fun. But Vinny, I got to give it to Vinny and Morgan. They just keep winning and winning and winning and winning.
And that's what it's about at the end. It's all about who wins.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen, it's going to be Vinny and Morgan in the end, which is tough to do.
Who do you think will get America's favorite? I said Rachel or Keanu.
Of course. Yeah. Of course, it's down to Rachel or Keanu. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Rachel got paid. She's fantastic. She puppeteered that whole season. It's Keanu's first time. I hope Keanu gets a little love because he didn't get any love this season. He protected himself. Again, we're Team Keanu
How
here.
much do they get now for America's Favorite?
50,000.
Okay, and then how much is second place now?
75,000.
Okay,
and then
That's still
750,000.
good.
So I mean, listen, Rachel got paid to come back on. So she's winning either way. I hope they spread the love a little bit. I know Rachel's got a ton of fans and followers, and she's going to get so many votes, but I hope Keanu showed enough that he could win, because him and Rachel really did make that season, and Rachel did make her money. And I think it's time for a new person to like take over. And I hope Keanu wins that America's Favorite Player. That's who I would vote for.
And then hopefully, like on other, I hope they bring him back if they have other people, you know.
Yeah,
he
just seems like a
deserves
good
it.
guy. I think he'll have a future in the challenge and things like that.
So what did you think when Vinny was talking about when they showed the family videos? And normally that's to lift your spirits and make you feel good. I love when they do that on Survivor, you know, when it's been a while since they've seen their family. And then Vinny's like, why would, I can't remember her name. Is it Kelsey? I don't know what his girlfriend's name is, ex-girlfriend.
I think it is. Yeah.
He goes, I was wondering why she wasn't on the video. He goes, do I still have a girlfriend or do I not? And you know, you're going through that in your head. He has no idea what the outside world is thinking. But then when he was laying in the bed with Morgan and they were doing that equation.
Did he think nobody was going to crack that code? You know what I mean? There's millions of people
like, did
watching
I miss something? Did we misunderstand it?
No, what are you talking about? He meant, is there a chance for us in the outside without saying it?
But then why would you say that? And then you're like, do I have a girlfriend still? And you're worried about it. I am like, I really, really, really want cameras to follow him. And I just want to see the drama.
Dude, I want a therapist to follow him because it's going to be hard for him on the outside. Listen, not saying, again, I don't want any ill will. I hope, you know, the people watching here don't. Writing people that are on a game show that you don't like is ridiculous. I just want to say that right now. That's ridiculous. To trying to ruin someone's life or trying to get them fired, that's ridiculous. We're all entertained for weeks and weeks and weeks on end because of these 17 people each season. And they make their decisions. They're going to have to live with that in their personal lives. So for them to get out of the house and be berated by people that, you know, their whole life is watching the show, you know, that I do not want for any of those contestants. No. Even when I hosted the show, I didn't want that for anybody, no matter what they did. They're young kids, being 47 now, that they're young kids. You got to learn from making mistakes, and you shouldn't live the rest of your life because of something you did when you were 22 or whatever age they are. I know they're 30 or something, but whatever. Let's take some questions.
And it's a lot more now because of social media. It's more in your face.
It's way, way, way more.
And when the game's done, the game's done. And it's just like, okay, it's over. And I hope no one from this season or any season has any bad experience, or because people a lot of times, whether it be radio, podcast, articles, love the clickbait and love to say things just to get people stirred up. So
let's take some questions. Do you think if Keanu would have listened to Rachel when she told him Vince was not with him, that he could still be there? Tommy, thanks for tuning in.
I think it's hard to.
It's so hard to play the what if game and like you know, oh, I should have made this decision because they told me that. It's you know, it's just like a football game. I wish I would have cut this way instead of cut that way. The game still goes on. There's 100 plays to be made during a football game. There's thousands to be made during the Big Brother season. So you just got to play the game as it goes. You know, the whistle blows, it's the next down, and you can't look back. I've done that. I've been there. How many times do I go back and be like, oh man, if I would have done this, I would have won that season. If I would have done this, we both would have been in the final two. You could look back and what if all day. And I remember talking to Robin Cass, actually, you know, after I got knocked out that second time. And she's like, Jeff, you can't what if. I've been around this game forever.
It's just
And
not
she's
meant
like,
for
you
you.
can't what if it. It is what it is, you know? And she told me that like right when I came out of the house, and it kind of sunk in. And I was like, it's true.
Because you
know?
have to think, you got this opportunity to go on Big Brother, and then you can take what you want from it
Right.
and make something out of it. Like Jeff has had so many different experiences and hosting shows and doing things like that, that Big Brother just gave you that platform.
Right. It was a stepping stone for me. I never won. I'm not a legend, any of that stuff, but it was a stepping stone in what I wanted to do for my career. So you got to look at things in the positive aspect, you know, and I hope everybody does that. They're going to get a little 15 minutes of fame. And I want them to view that in a positive light. I've been through the negative light as well. But listen, life's all about what you make it. You know, if you want to focus on the negative, you're going to think negative. If you want to focus on the positive, you're going to be positive. So those are things that I tell myself. I have trouble dealing with those from day to day, depending on what's going on. But a lot of these kids, they're going to go through that. This is their 15 minutes of fame. They're going to get some love on Instagram. And then you know what? It's all going to go away. In a couple months, nobody's going to remember who they are. And they're going to go back to their real life. And that's just the way things are.
But hopefully they get opportunities. There's a lot of crossover now with reality
definitely.
shows.
I think a lot of people on there, I mean, I think Rachel's going to continue in her career. I think Keanu's got some life. I think Zach's got some life.
I could totally see Keanu and Zach on the challenge.
Yeah, Morgan, I think I could see her on the challenge.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think a lot of these kids got some opportunities in front of them. Let's take another one.
Is anyone worried about Vince's mental health? He seems distraught about perhaps being single and unemployed. He seems to think Morgan will cut ties with him. I do think, I will say.
Where's Morgan from, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know either.
Vinny's in LA.
Yeah, didn't he say he lives right across the street from Radford?
Yeah, so he's like in Studio City somewhere. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to, but it's a different scenario how we were. We didn't have a relationship with somebody going in the house, and we were friends before. But I'm trying to picture it because you and I were like inseparable, but we were like best friends out. And I'm just trying to picture like you just like pushing me off to the side, how I would feel after the show. I'm not saying she's going to do that. Maybe they might have
Vince's girlfriend?
Morgan and Vince.
Like
if he doesn't have a girlfriend and let's say they have a relationship together, I have no idea. But
if they bring each other to the final two, listen, they got 825,000 between them.
There you go.
That's a good start to life. Not who knows what's going to happen with him and his ex-girlfriend. Who knows what happens when you're out. Things change because, like I said, that's your life. If you're keeping up with this, I always say when you're in that house for this long, that's your reality. That's what's going on in your life. The outside world kind of pauses, and this is your life right now. And then once you walk out of the house and realize, wow, that was just a show, and this is reality. Things change and shift, and people break up and don't talk and lose contact, and life kicks in, and you got to go back to work, and distance is a problem. We overcame a lot of those things, but it was a problem. It was an obstacle that we had to overcome to be together.
I think one thing that helped us is we weren't jealous, and so we never fought about like dumb things like that. But I think we weren't jealous because of the friendship that we built in the house. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, he's going to get attention now that you're going to get the 15 minutes of fame, and then it goes away unless you continue to do shows and get opportunities.
Yeah. And you know what? Everything I just said in the past, I have no idea about casting and what people like and what shows are popular. I give my opinion. They seem to be the exact opposite because I'm not exactly crushing life myself right now. So all people that we didn't name might have the biggest opportunities as well. So don't take our word for it because the whole TV world and reality world, we are definitely, that world, we're over here somewhere. We're on the outside looking in. So I don't know what's going on in that world anymore.
I don't either. Yeah. We're just telling you from our experience 16 years ago.
All right, let's take another one.
Do you think the meeting Ava had with the house guests will have any impact on Morgan's decisions going forward? So I think you missed that.
No, I saw it. I came down here when I was starting this
turned
up.
it
I
on?
did. She tried to give her last ditch effort with her sunglasses on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said that Vinny was not taking her to final two. I don't know. I think when you get in that final three and somebody says that to you and you've been in the house that long, you're like, wait, is that true? Are you going to cut me? I have won. How many POVs?
Who,
5?
Morgan?
Yeah. I don't even know.
At this point.
She's won so many. I would be like, whoa, wait. But then they're together so much, I would be like, no, there's no way. But I think you just have to go with your gut.
It was a good last ditch effort for Ava to throw that little seed in there just to cause some chaos.
I would have, honestly, probably got rid of Ashley because I feel like Ashley will be better in the mental comps with the questions. And I would have kept Ava because I think she won one thing, right?
I don't even know if she won one thing. Did she?
She might have won one thing.
You're right. If I were Vince, I would have pushed to keep Ava in.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I think Vince thinks he's better. His gameplay was better than it was. I think he feels like he's some sort of mastermind, even though, listen, you can play Big Brother any way you want, but you do have to respect the jury's votes in how you play the game. Some people respect the backstabbing and all that and the breaking ties and giving final twos to everybody. I don't know. That's not the way I play. At this
point, everybody has to promise everybody everything.
Right.
Someone's lying in the mix, but you have to just say it like, oh yeah, totally. I'm taking you to final two. You're not going to say, no, I'm not going to take you in case they win. Everybody's lying to each other. I was telling Kevin and Natalie, I was like, oh yeah, if I win, I'm totally taking
you. You got to tell them what they want.
Yeah, you have to tell them. You have to do that because I was like, if I don't win, I need one of them to take me, which I knew if I didn't win, they were both going to get rid of me.
Yeah. I don't know, love. I feel like we're so distant from the game now. I don't know. I don't know if our opinion is even right anymore. You know?
I don't know. We're ancient now.
Let's take another one.
Do you think Ashley has a chance to win if she wins the final HOH and evicts Morgan, similar to how Jordan won BB? Yes, I think Ashley would win against Vince. I mean, we could be wrong, but I think she would win.
That was whoever wrote that. There wasn't a name on there, but that was a great question because Kevin would have won hands down. Between you or Natalie. He would have won. I knew that just from being in the jury and talking to everybody. I knew that before. And when you knocked Kevin out, I was like, you won. I knew that before the votes were cast.
They don't realize they helped me by avoiding me. And so I had many hours.
But that was great. But it's the same scenario. If Ashley gets rid of Morgan, if she's got the stones, you didn't have that relationship with Kevin that Morgan and Ashley have. But if Ashley does pull the trigger and gets rid of Morgan, that's a big play. That's a big play. And Rachel was really close with Ashley, which is going to sway those votes in there. So that'd be a big play if Ashley could pull it out. And you know what? It'd be great for the show. A surprise, because I think everyone's expecting Vinny and Morgan to go to the end and Morgan to win. If Ashley wins those last two, does take Vince, and I think she's got a good shot of winning. So that's a great question. Too. Yeah. Let's take another one. And another one.
That's DJ Khalid. Khalid, or however. If you were on this jury, how would you vote?
You know what? It's easier. That's a hard question because when you're watching from our side,
it's different.
Yeah, it's way different. Way different.
Being in the house.
When you're in there, your emotions are so high. You could be vindictive. You could hate the people that knocked you out. Again, that's your world. That's what you're living in. When you play twice, you have a little more rationality. So like the second time, I was like, of course Rachel's got to, she played the best game. You know, of course Rachel's got to win. So you have a little bit more respect for the game and gameplay and who you were aligned with in the house. And our season in 13 when Rachel won, she played the best game when it came down to the final two. So you never know what, if they're bitter. I remember hosting the show. Remember that guy, Paul? Remember
Who?
Paul with
No.
the beard?
Paul?
With the duck, he wore that duck thing when I hosted the show. Josh beat Paul, and Nicole beat Paul. Remember Paul?
Oh, wait. I
He
kind of
went
remember
back to
him.
back final 2 seasons, and he
He was
lost
like a
both.
rocker guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
No
remember.
disrespect to Josh, or he should have won that season. That
I
was a
don't even
bitter
remember
jury.
their gameplay.
Josh won that season because it was a bitter jury.
Oh.
That was my viewpoint of it. You guys could disagree with me if you want, but I thought Paul played the best game that season, and it was coming right off after, or vice versa. I don't know what it was. I did both of those interviews, but I thought Paul was going to win both seasons, and he lost both seasons, and he definitely lost against Josh because that jury was a little bitter. That was just my point. That's just my viewpoint.
I don't
You guys
remember.
could take a different viewpoint. Not downplaying Josh's game at all or how the jury vote. That's just how I saw it from watching the season.
The great thing about this is like Morgan is a comp beast. So you could be like, she had a comp beast and a social game. Ashley, more social game. Vince, I would say more social. Wouldn't you say more social than winning? I mean, he did win.
He did win. Listen, he's got a good resume,
He
like
does.
winning. He just stabbed so many people in the back. And again, if that's your game, you could do whatever you want in Big Brother.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That was just never my game. Like to take Jordan to the final 3 and then ditch her at the end so I could win the money. I didn't make it that far, but if I did, I would not have done that. I'm telling you from my heart, I would not have done that.
If you did that, I'd chop your balls off.
I need those. Let's take it. You threw up a question before I even asked it.
Is it hard to remember what day different events happen? I don't think I could. You have to start
Yvetta.
that in the beginning of the season, and you got to keep track of it because you cannot have a pen and paper in there. And when we played Big Brother, I didn't know that because I didn't watch the game before. Jeff is the one that was like, you have to know days of when events happen. I'm like, wait, what? And we would go over it at night.
With a deck of cards.
Yeah.
So we use a deck of cards because as you get towards the end, they give you more things to occupy your time. So when you get there, you could play like solitaire and stuff. At least that's what it was when we were there.
Remember we got in a fight? It was like
because you weren't trying to study.
Yeah, and then you were like, quit joking around.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't care. And you were like, no, this is day 50. This is day blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is so boring. Like, I want to just like talk about life. And you got so mad at me.
You're welcome. Things haven't changed much since the recycling room. I do remember that. But that Yvetta, I don't know how to pronounce it. But that was a great question because my dad is in town and he was upstairs when that last competition just came on. He goes, how do you remember what day happened on what? And I was like, Dad, when you're in the house, you remember every single day that you have nothing else to do. Yep. There's not a newspaper. There's not social media. There's nothing else to do. So you're like, it's day 60. That's when Rachel got evicted from the mastermind, whatever it was, like those are just locked in your head. I remember speaking of recycling room, I counted every bottle. I counted every green bottle, every brown bottle, every pillow, everything I could to intake information in there. Not that I fucking needed it because I didn't get there, but
I didn't count one thing. I didn't count one. Or you would stare. Was it you or was it Adam? We're like stare at the memory wall.
Oh, Adam would do that
study
too.
it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Adam would do that too.
What are y'all doing? But it did help me because you would always go over head of household with me, and that helped me.
Yeah. I don't know.
Thanks,
but yeah,
Jeff.
that's when you're in there, you can't describe. You sit back here and you watch, you're like, man, you should know that. When you're in there, you know those days. Even Jordan knew those days.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's just when it's down to the end, I remember getting more emotional because you're like, wow, I made it all the way this far. And if I go home without the money, like I'm going to be I remember thinking that, like, I'm going to be so sad. And at the time I was 22 and I was like, I can make a difference with at the time my parents are divorced. There's a lot going on. And I was like, I can help my mom out. And that was like my drive is I just kept thinking of like my mom.
Gonna make a change
for once in my life. We need to
let's take
make a
another
change.
question.
We're trying to make a change, guys.
We've been waiting for 30 years. It hasn't happened. We're still the same jerks. All right. When you're in the jury house, how much of the episodes do you actually get to see? Oh, when you're in the jury house. Oh,
I never made it to jury. Actually,
what an asshole again.
When I got evicted, I made it the second time and I made it to fourth and got evicted. We were so close to the finale that I was so excited that I got evicted. And I was like, all I want is I think a hamburger. That's what I asked. And they had me a burger and fries waiting. Because remember that season I was on Slop, I had lost weight on 13.
Yeah.
And they had me, I think it was a Coke or a Mountain Dew. No, it was a Mountain Dew, a hamburger and fries waiting for me in that room. And I devoured it. I was so excited. Brandy got it for me, the producer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so sweet of her because I told her in the diary room, I was like, if I don't make it, I want a burger. And anyways, so they were like, you're going to the hotel. And I was like, wait, I don't get to go to the jury house. Cause I was like, yes, I finally get to like hang out in a mansion with you and everybody else. And we can just like get drunk and have fun and not play the game. And then when they told me that, I was like, are you kidding? And then I just had to sit in a hotel room by myself.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the question?
About the jury. What was the question about the jury?
What was that?
Oh, no, wait, what was it? Ian, pull that up. I don't even remember because I'm talking too much. What was that question? It was something about
I know, I'm the master of the jury. I know the answer, but I forgot what the question was. Ian, what's up? You can't pull it up?
Why can't I remember? Oh, how much episodes do you actually get to
that's
see?
right. That's right. So when you're in there, you only get to rewatch what just happened. Like in that, so I'll give you an example. At least this is the thing that I remembered. When I went out with the clown shoe, everybody loves the clown shoe episode. So when I went out with the clown shoe, I remember saying to when I got out, I told the producer, I go, did I throw that clown shoe out of the box? Was it still in the box or did I throw it out? Because at that point I realized I might have thrown it out because I couldn't find it. And I asked the producers and they're like, you're gonna have to see. And I was like, you're not gonna tell me? And they're like, no. And they really didn't. They did not tell me. So then you have a handler, and the handler was with me, and I was going to jury house. I go, let me ask you something. Did I throw that clown shoe out of the box? And they're like, I can't tell you. And I was like, dude, there's no cameras. What are you talking about? And they're like, you'll see. And I go, so I did. And they're like, you'll see. So I'm like, all right. So I get to the jury house. We go there, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, here, let me play this. So you play it. And then I got to see that I threw the clown shoe out of the box. That was the first time I saw it. So production did a great job of not letting me know and getting that reaction on camera in the jury house. So no, they don't tell you anything. And the little piece that you do see is pretty much, well, at least about me, was about myself, not about, because once you're out, it doesn't matter what other people say about you. That was the moment that I wanted to see, and I did throw it out, and then they showed me in the jury house. So that's how I found out about that.
Yeah. So sad.
We could have, should have, would have. All right, let's get another question.
I think Jerry O'Connell could be the mastermind since he hosted the show.
Marsha, thanks for writing in. Marsha, thanks for staying up late with us. I
would be friends with him. He seems goofy.
Yeah, me too. I love Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah, I want to run into him at a bar.
He might recognize us.
I don't think so.
I'd like, Big Jer? Stand by me?
Big Jeff?
Stand by me? Remember when you found Raymond Barry? Who was that guy who was dead?
I've never seen Stand By Me.
What?
Wasn't he fat in that?
Yeah.
But
He was a chubby kid. He was the chubby kid in there.
Yeah.
That's a classic movie.
I've never seen it.
He would know who we are.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he would. He loves Big Brother.
I think he watches it more so now.
All right, whatever. Well, I introduced myself. What was the question? What was the question?
What are your thoughts on Morgan saying that Ava was an alternate? Oh, yeah. And then Vinny said,
that's right. I wanted to bring that up.
How do you know that? How would she even know that?
Morgan goes, I just heard an interesting little tidbit. Ava was a replacement or something.
But how would you know that?
But what's the difference? Who cares?
I don't care.
No, but I'm saying, like, when you're in the house, they're like, you have no information at all.
So it's like gossip, and you're like, ooh,
right.
I know something.
So could you imagine just going from like everybody right now, like just scrolling through their Instagram, and then going from no social media, and then you get some piece of information, you're like, oh, that's big news. But really, when you're on the outside, you're like, what's the big deal? Someone got sick or something happened and they couldn't do the show.
Did we
so
have
Ava stepped in. Of course, every year there's alternates.
Who was an alternate for us?
Well, I don't know, but
was there anybody that backed out? I thought there was somebody that backed out.
Oh my God. Do you want to hear a funny story? Here's a little behind the scenes. So when I did the interviews before people went in the house, I also had to interview the alternates.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just in case like something happened before.
Don't you think the alternates were like, please break a leg, please get hurt?
Oh, for
so
sure.
I get to come
for
in.
sure. So I remember a couple alternates and they were like, yeah, I know I'm an alternate. And I was like, no, you still got a shot. You know, I was like, no, I don't know that. I just pretend like I didn't know. And I'd give them the same interview as I gave everybody else. And I remember this one guy, he was our last interview. And it was a long day, man. It was like 12 hours. And so he's my last interview. He comes in fired up, like really fired up. And he's like, yo, dude, I can't wait to get on Big Brother. And he was like, I'm like, all right, man, you seem pumped up. And he got me. And I just remember, I think he had a tattoo on his ass. And he's like, dude, I got this tattoo on my ass. And he like showed the camera. And he's like, man, look at this. And he was like going crazy. And I was like, dude, I'm like, I remember looking at like Baird. I'm like, this guy should be on the show. How is this guy an alternate? And he was like going, he never made the show. I don't know what happened to that guy. If you showed your ass and didn't get on the show, I don't know your name, but I remember you, dude. You should try out again. You might get back on. But he was so fired up. And they were like breaking down like the lights and stuff while I was interviewing him. Like they're like, the day's over. Like everyone was done. And I'm like, wait, hold on. We still got to interview this guy. And he was so excited. He never got on.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. He's exciting. I don't know what he's doing now.
Do you realize if they wouldn't have put us in together, we would have never met? Like, it would have been a different outcome.
Yes, I do realize that. What are you, Nostradamus? Yeah, of course I realize that. Do you know if we would have never met, we would have never talked? That was fucking deep.
Okay.
What's happening?
Are
dude?
we almost done? I'm tired.
All right.
It's night time. I need to watch a documentary. Only a couple more questions and I'm ready to go to bed. Who do you think overall played the most well-rounded game consisting of strategy, comp, wins, and social game of the final three? Oh,
Singing
what's up,
Mary.
Singing Mary? I would say Morgan.
Oh, yeah, I got to.
She was always good with everybody. She was always included in the alliances, and she did good, like in the comps and all that stuff.
Yeah, I gotta say Morgan.
Yeah,
I guess I could make an argument for all of them, but
I think it's
Morgan's got. I just don't see another scenario that Morgan wins. I'd love to see if Ashley won both of those, knocked Morgan out, and took Vince, and Ashley won. That'd be a great scenario.
Yeah,
that'd be great. It'd be such an upset story.
Yeah.
So that'd be great to see, just from a viewer standpoint. But I think Morgan deserves the money, to be honest with you. Let's take one more. What are you? We're like slap happy.
Like quiet. It was like quiet. I'm like, wait, is anybody still in the line? Because it took a minute.
They're like the guy. Our producers are breaking on the lights back there, and we're still going.
They're like, wrap it up.
Yeah.
We got things to do. Do you think Morgan is really that good, or is it because it's a weak competition? That's a good question.
I don't, listen, I think she played a pretty good game, and listen, Big Brother, how many times am I going to say, listen, Big Brother's, there's a million ways to play the game, right? And I think the best strategy is laying low and letting, the alphas, so to speak, go after each other. You always want a bigger target than you. It was tough for me to lay back and not win competitions because I wasn't that guy. Especially younger, you want to win everything and prove yourself and prove your dominance. She played a good game. She aligned herself with a good person in Vince, meaning Vince is a bigger target than her. And then when it came time for her to win, look at her. She crushed. She won the last. She even said in the house, I won the last 6 competitions by myself. Mm-hmm. And when Vince heard that, he was like, oh shit. Yeah. What Keanu told me was true. Because when Keanu told Vince that, he was like, that's not true. Yeah. I'm going to win this game. And then when Morgan said it out loud, I think it sunk in. And he's like, oh man, she is going to win this game. I still think Vince feels like he's like a mastermind in this game, but he burned too many bridges without being like Dan was a mastermind. He made people believe in what he wanted them to think, and they were still on his side. Just to stab somebody in the back is one thing. To stab 6 people in the back and send them home, that's a different thing. Mm-hmm. And I think Morgan bided her time. Whether you like the way she was flirting with Vince or not is irregardless of how she played the game for the game's sake. And I think she proved herself that she could win. That's, again, just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with what you said.
You didn't even listen to what I said. You're checked out. Your lights are off.
I concur. All right. Thank you guys for tuning into this live. I know it's later, but don't forget on Sunday we are doing a live. It's going to be at 9:15.
It's the final countdown. It's the final episode.
It's the final episode. And then also don't forget that we have our podcast episodes on Mondays and Wednesdays, every Monday and Wednesday. And hopefully we continue to do these lives. So we have some other things lined up for you guys. We just have to meet with our team and discuss it. But don't forget, live on Sunday, 9:15. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys later. 9